It's been so great to see all the bees this spring. They've been busy, and so have we. Spring cleaning, pruning, planting, and hauling out the warm weather wardrobe to assess what still works and what we need to find. So I've always had a passion for harmony in all things. So I like making the clothing part of the decor in my home, blending it all together so that it's a cohesive color palette at least. I try to consider the home we live in, as well as the island, the beautiful nature around us, as well as my heritage. I do love the Nordic primary colors along with black and white, classic, but I do try to allow for personal flares as well. And life with littles is no tea party, or if it is, it ends with fruit stains and splashes of milk on the clothing, and life is a mess every day with lots to do. And along with all of the things for the little ones, there's always the laundry. Always, always my best friend, the laundry. And I have to think of ways to simplify this mound that always is there to make it doable. Along with my art, I have to be practical. Especially with kid clothing, there are things other than color palette that I have to consider and limits I have to create to make it sensible as a workload. So I'd like to share with you today 7 ways to simplify kid laundry. So number 1, I want to respect my kids' bodies. Maybe this is the most important one because I see my kids as little men and little women, so I want to clothe them in things that give them dignity, that fit their shape and size, and also fit the weather and the climate. I also like to think of what they do in those clothes. What are their personalities? I have very active children and I have very sensitive children. So whether they're working or playing or sick or having a bad day, I want something that's cozy for them to wear, easy for them to put on. And if something's just left in the drawer and not used very much or agitating them, I just donate or try to consign it. The second limit is trying to choose natural fabrics as often as I can, thinking of health, because plastic clothing or synthetic fabrics, they can be comfy, but they're harder to wash and they are harder on the body. Of course, microplastics are everywhere, but if I can cut down a bit on the ones floating around after a dryer load, it's worth it. Cotton, or at least cotton blends, wash a lot better. And if you're buying secondhand, or just in general if you have kids, something that washes well is a huge advantage. And natural fibers are just really breathable and cozy. The third limit is buying quality where it counts. So I've decided that there are a few things that the kids only need one of, so I'll make sure it's a quality pair of hiking boots or a swimsuit that will last them the season, if not 2 or 3 kids. So the next limit is choosing to save. So I always play a game with myself. What can I put back? What can I take out of my cart, either virtual or in store? And I ask myself, what things can I buy cheaply without making a huge waste? Like maybe a pair of Crocs for the backyard or sun hats that will probably get lost at the beach anyway. And for things they don't wear often, for an event, they don't have to be top quality either. And the biggest savings is just to start with secondhand clothing first, see what you can find at the thrift store or the consignment store, and then after that fill in the gaps with shopping online or going to an actual store. And if I see a deal on clothing that I think will work for a kid later on, I will buy ahead and store it, but I have a set of totes that I limit myself to so I don't make a clutter issue. Limit number 5 is laundering gently, and what I mean by that is taking good care of the clothes that you have so there's not as much turnover or waste. And soap and water goes a long way, especially if you switch to more natural fibers and use the old boiling water trick for those berry stains. And there's good old hydrogen peroxide for those blood stains. And I do buy a refillable, more natural, gentler stain remover for oil stains and such, as well as a laundry detergent. Some brands sell big refill bags online, or some health food stores even have laundry detergent. You can take your bottle in and refill it there. And for fabric softener, I do stick with vinegar, so up to a cup depending on how big the load is. And we did get a top loader when our front loader washer died, and it's made a big difference. Just something about letting all that clothing soak in more water. And the wool dryer balls definitely cut down the drying time, but also are much more gentle on the clothing than the dryer sheets. I do try to line dry as well, the delicate stuff as well as the synthetic fabrics as often as I can. For number 6, it's putting a limit on the wardrobe. How much you buy, how much you keep for each person in the household. For the little ones, I definitely keep a bit more because they get messier. And as the kids grow a little older, they seem to need fewer items. And though it's a bit of a hassle, I do fold my kids' clothes. For shirts and dresses, I fold them in thirds and then fold them in half, and this keeps them at least a bit tidy in the drawer and allows me to see what we've got. And I find it easier for me and the kids to find things and choose things if things are lined up on their side versus in stacks where things can get buried and lost. And I do keep socks separate from the clothing drawers. I keep them near the shoes because that's where we need them the most. So I'll separate them from the laundry loads into their own basket and fold them separately, and then transfer them into these shoe pockets that I tack to the door of the closet where we keep our shoes and coats. And lastly, I try to pick as many versatile styles as I can, especially for pants and shoes. For pants, I try to go dark or at least neutral so they match with any top. With shoes as well, I usually pick something neutral that would fit with any outfit, usually black because it hides the stains. And for summer, I love these water shoes. You can find them online. They're fairly cheap, but they last the summer, and they're good for emerging walkers, and they're great in the water and out of the water, on the rocks. And I also get them a lightweight, just a rain shell to go over a favorite hoodie if it gets chilly. There's something easy that can pack into a bag, and all of them get one in a neutral color so that it matches with every outfit as well. And speaking of a bag, I do have a summer tote that I keep in the back of the car. It has all the rain shells that I just talked about. They provide a good windproof and waterproof layer if it gets rainy or chilly or windy when we're out at the park or on some kind of nature adventure or to someone's house. And I also keep a bag of our sunscreens. I try to get something natural, or better yet, something natural and local. And I also have some dollar store hats that have a drawstring so they can fit any size head, and they're just cheap and easy sun protection. So there we go, my simplifying tips for the laundry, as well as sharing with you that I love to make it into an art form, which in a way I guess it is kind of a hassle sometimes, and it is work to stick within my limits, but I do find it makes a difference. I find it fun to partner along with God, and as He clothes the trees and the fields with beautiful leaves and blossoms, I get to clothe my kids and watch them grow day by day.